What's up, everybody? And happy Tuesday to everybody out there. We know what goes on Tuesday nights. It is the Motor Stardom Show. So excited to have you all here. We're going to be joined by an amazing guest to kick off today's show, and we might as well get right to everything. First, a quick shout out to our wonderful sponsor, Density. You can use code Maggio15. That's Maggio 15. You know how to spell it. You've probably looked them up on Instagram. 15% off on Amazon orders until tomorrow. So let's slide everybody on in here real quick. It's going to be a fun show tonight. Without further ado, firstly, Mason Maggio, and then boom, right behind him, coming in that number 44 car, is Brennan Poole, driver for Alpha Prime Racing. Brennan, how you doing, my friend? Uh-oh. Brennan, I can't hear you, Brennan.
All right.
Let's see if it figures it out.
Sorry.
Oh, we're back.
See, you guys are like in my. This is like my music studio, and I'm always on Zoom. I'm not on whatever this is. What is this? Restream. So I don't know. I didn't have my mic. This is my first time on here. I didn't know I had to check that.
Yeah. It's like a Zoom with like a little paprika on it, a little light, you know. So got a little stuff going on in there. Mason Maggio, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. We got a lot to talk about between Pocono, particularly with this guy running double duty at Pocono. That's an awesome opportunity for you, Brennan. And then a lot to talk about with this season, and what Brennan's got going on for him.
Yeah, Brennan's had a lot of stuff going on. Double duty this weekend. You guys were teammates for one weekend only. So that was awesome. I guess we can say that here in the room. But yeah, let's start off with the most recent events. Pocono was a fun weekend. We get a triple header, a quadruple header, as you will, or a triple header. Yes, at Pocono. Used to be a quadruple header. But Brennan, you get to run double duty. You ran the Xfinity race, and then you run the Cup Series race. It was a great day for Alpha Prime Racing as a whole there on Saturday. And then you get the opportunity to run again on Sunday. How fun was it to do both? And were there any challenges?
Yeah, I mean, anytime you get to race on Sunday, it's pretty cool. Like it's a special deal. And I had all my family there. My wife's family's from only a couple hours away in Jersey. So yeah, it was really cool. My dad made the trip. So yeah, I mean, the cars are totally different. So I mean, there's not like you learn much from the previous day to the next day because you just drive them so different. But Saturday went really good for us and really the entire team. And, we kind of fought some handling issues the entire race, but ultimately we still ended up with the top 20, ended up 16th. I felt like the restarts were a little crazy. It kind of depended on if you chose the right lane for the restart, really affected where everything kind of shook out. And at the end, I was like, man, I'm just going to take the top lane and just push as hard as I can and try to get my lane to go off of turn one. And then, we fortunately the top lane had a good final restart, and I ended up getting a few spots at the end and kind of getting back up more close to where I should have been had I picked the right lane the two restarts before. But I think we can't complain with that. I mean, looking at the Xfinity points, it's really tight. So like I didn't lose any more spots this weekend. After Mexico, we broke and finished last, so that wasn't really fun. So we had a little bit of a hole we got to get back to where we were at. But like the guys I'm racing for in points all had really good days too. So the 11 and the 51 and the 42 and like all those guys, we all finished right next to each other. So points basically stayed the same. So it's going to be a fight all the way to the end of this thing to stay in the top 20 in points. But we've done a really good job of that so far, and we've had really fast cars. So yeah, and these next several races for me are really good. I really love the road courses. They've been really places where we've been able to get big results. So I'm kind of excited about the next couple of races after Atlanta. But then I got to jump over and do the Cup car on Sunday, which I haven't driven a Cup car since 2023. So practice was crazy because we were really, really loose. And I was thinking, man, I don't know. We got to make big swings at this thing. But the guys did a pretty good job. And then when we started the race, and we had to serve a penalty because we failed tech 4 times. So I had to do a pass through right off the rip. So I was kind of by myself, and I just got to log some laps and feel what I needed in the race car. But the car was actually not bad, and our lap times were pretty good. We were actually faster than 3 or 4 guys at the back of the pack, which for a part-time car and a one-off where I'm just coming in to drive the car with only like 3 guys working on the car at the shop. And at the cup level, I thought that was pretty phenomenal. So I mean, things were going well. We had an issue with the throttle body in stage 3, and basically the throttle was hanging wide open, which was nuts. Like the first thing I noticed, I was going to shift because at Pocono in the cup car, you're shifting a couple times a lap, and it wouldn't let me shift into 5th gear. I had to, push the clutch in and shift. I couldn't just like flip the throttle and put it in 5th gear. And I'm like, man, that's really weird. Like something's going on. But when I rolled out of the gas in the corners, it was like whatever was going on, it was still it wasn't like just stuck wide open at that point. But then under caution came out, and I was saving fuel as we normally do, cut the car off and coast and push the clutch in. And when I, popped the clutch and fired the car back up, it was just like peg full throttle, which is weird. So turned the car off, recycled everything, tried to get it was just stuck wide open, man. So had to come to pit road. They got it fixed, went back out. And then as we were running, trying to get back, just try to finish the race, right? The shifter, the linkage, there's a weld like towards the back where it goes out through the rear firewall. And that weld actually broke. I've never seen that before. So the shifter linkage was just like broken half, man. Pretty crazy. So I couldn't upshift anymore. I was just stuck in a lower gear, and that pretty much ended our day. But I mean, I was having a good time and felt like I was getting valuable seat time in the next gen, and felt like we were, I think overall pace wise for the 44 team, I think it's one of the best runs that they've had as far as relative pace to the field. So yeah, I think there were a lot of good takeaways from it, and just really enjoyed being out there and getting the chance to race on Sunday again. It was pretty cool.
Well, I don't know if anybody's ever said this, but the P in Poole stands for pace. This guy, Brennan Poole, has a lot of pace. So talking about Pocono, we'll bring in here Mr. Pocono, I guess we call him, Stephen Malazzi, joining us here. You were at Pocono all weekend, weren't you?
I was, and I actually ran into Brennan Poole. I gave him – I actually have my 2 Brennan Poole signed hero cards in the back of my car. Brennan Poole has an Outback Steakhouse hero card that I tried to get him to sign, but obviously he wouldn't do it because
I had to keep it, man. I had to keep it.
So did you give him a coupon for a free Bloomin' Onion, or did you just leave him with a hero card?
I panicked.
I would have taken the Bloomin' Onion. I would have taken it.
Dude, I was so starstruck. I forgot about the Bloomin' Onion, and I literally brought it. I brought like 5 or 6 of them just in case I ran into people that I know or should be giving Bloomin' Onions to. And you were probably like near the top. I think Ben May was at the top of the list because I was supposed to go meet him. And you were probably like second on that list. And I forgot. And I feel really bad about it. So next race, Bloomin' Onions on me. My bad, Brennan. Nice job this weekend. I know the cup race didn't go the way you would have hoped it to. But, it's part of the deal, I guess, with racing on Sundays. It was good to see you out there again.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah, it was fun running into you guys out there at the members first credit union activation, man. The Pocono does it right. Yeah. Like the fans out there, it is crazy. I mean, I've done a lot of autograph signings and done some things at booths around these tracks and the fan zones and stuff, but the Pocono fans are crazy, man. It's like, it's absurd every time we go there.
It's awesome. I totally agree. Pocono is probably my favorite experience overall, especially for like family friendly stuff, because like Talladega to me is my favorite experience at a racetrack, but you're not bringing your kids to Talladega. I mean, some people do, I guess, but you're not supposed to bring your kids to Talladega Boulevard. Pocono's like an experience where it's just everybody's super passionate about racing, and it's awesome. I actually have a group of fans who I met at Pocono 2 years ago who I now camp with every year that I go. Their like 10-year-old daughter wanted a hero card, and all the drivers of the truck autograph session had pretty much left. And I ran out right as she got to me. So I signed the bottom of a cardboard box and got her and her parents' garage passes. And the fans were just like, come camp with us. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And they're like, yeah, we don't. And I'm like, that's like everyone there. Everyone is so nice, but so passionate about racing. It's awesome. Love it. Love it.
Yeah, super cool. Super great time. Everybody was crazy. I mean, Sunday was crazy too, man. I've never seen just a sold out
Yeah.
crowd. What an awesome job the track is doing. And yeah, just shout out to all the fans that came there because it was nuts. Even with the rain, like I know the chat's talking about, the weather was pretty crazy like on Sunday, and still sold out crowd. Everybody was there. Nobody left. It was really, really cool.
Did you see the clip that was posted on Twitter of you after? I don't know, maybe you talked about it before I got here, but there was a clip of you on Twitter when you did your pass through, and like a bunch of fans who were cheering you on every single lap you went by. That was awesome. That was so. And you almost caught the back of the field, actually.
I know people like there were some people on Twitter that were like, oh, like they were like talking a little smack about it, but I'm like, dude, like, no, I literally almost got the back of the field. Like that first, I was a second a lap faster than like the last couple cars at the end of that long run at stage one. So I don't know. We were just like flying, I guess, and it had the clean air, and we were just like running them back down. So yeah, that was cool. It was kind of cool to see all the fans like came by too. Like that was pretty neat. I feel like I don't know, for whatever reason, if maybe I'm just people know me a little bit more up there or what, I'm not sure. But like when I go to Pocono, it's just like I get such a great response from all the fans there, whether it's like walking through the group to sign autographs before driver intros and all that stuff. Like it's just like, I mean, like I said, it's just that it's crazy every time I go up there. I don't know. It makes it a lot more fun for me, you know, as a driver. Like that's fun, you know.
Yeah, we on this show, Brennan, have a constant conversation about the Cup car. And I know RJ was a little fired up on Twitter this week about it. But as a guy who drives what most people who are close with NASCAR consider to be the best car every week in the Xfinity car, how do you feel about transitioning to the Cup car? Do you really feel like it is that much more difficult to pass and drive in dirty air than Xfinity is?
Oh, it's way harder to pass in a Cup car than an Xfinity car. It's like nuts. You know, mostly from, you know, just like Saturday to Sunday this past weekend. And, you know, I was in the back of the field in the Cup car. So a lot of dirty air. But it's really difficult. I mean, you can't just get your nose out, like just getting a fender out in the Xfinity car. The car kind of still drives pretty good. If you're like trying to make a pass and you're faster than someone racing, you just get like your left front headlight out, and you get that little bit extra air, and you can run right up to them and no problem, right? And the Cup car, you need to literally pick an entirely different lane than the car in front of you is running. And it's so difficult because when guys choose the bottom or they run the bottom lane and you try to run up a lane, especially at Pocono, like off turn one, the bottom lanes, like those guys drift up, right? So they drift up in front of you when you're already in this lane, and so then they take the air. It's just such a challenge. Like, I mean, you literally can't pass. I mean, I something that was interesting for me during the race is Ricky Stenhouse stayed out and was like leading the race or whatever, and he fell back to fifth and literally ran like fifth the whole stage. And like the previous run, I was running faster lap times than him. So like, you know what I mean? It's like that's kind of crazy. Like, so it's really, really difficult. And from my time, you know, in 2023, getting to run the next gen, I know things have changed and some cars, they found things to make them drive better and things like that. But I remember Kansas, I was racing the Rick Ware car, and I had a really good day. Like I ran in the top 25 pretty much the majority of the race. And I remember on a restart running the outside lane into turn 3 right after restart. I'm like, oh, I'm going to be totally good here. I'm just going to run the fence. And I remember Eric Jones was in front of me, and I think he saw I had that lane like on the fence, like I was going to have the momentum, and he just slightly moved up in front of me, and I drove straight into the fence. Like, like, okay. I mean, there's just nothing you can do. And so like kind of like for me as someone that hasn't raced the next gen that much, that's what's difficult too, because these guys have all been racing it the last 3 years. I don't know. I'm putting myself in situations that I have no clue what the car's going to do because I've just never felt it before. So, you know, this weekend was just good for me to just kind of get in there and drive the next gen again, since it'd been about a year and a half, and feel it out and get going again. But yeah, they're just way different, man. Like the Xfinity car, all the downforce and everything's pretty much made with the overbody of the car. So it's all about, you know, just kind of getting your left front out in dirty air, and then kind of you drive the Xfinity car a little bit more in the right rear. And you can kind of slide it around a little bit, and that creates lap time and speed. The Cup car is like, if you're loose in the Cup car, it's not fun, man. Like they're really twitchy, and it's hard to tell where the limit is because everything's made, all their grip is with the, the floor of the car. So, when the car gets a little bit sideways and you sort of cut that air off underneath the car that's creating the suction, creating the downforce, when it all goes away, it's just you wreck. And that's what's challenging. And I don't know how much of it's true, but I've even heard that some of the bigger teams are like doing like reverse skew now, because when the car goes in the corner and it moves, it's keeping the car more straight, if that makes sense. Yeah, it's because it creates more downforce. So it's like, it's really weird, man. Like they just are totally different beasts, and a weird tire, like a much bigger tire, so you have way more grip, and that's low profile. So also kind of makes it twitchy. They're quite a bit. They're way different, man.
Yeah. I actually wonder what and I imagine we're probably, if you look at the eras of NASCAR, we're like halfway done with the next gen car almost, right?
Yeah.
Like theoretically, if you do every 10, 12 years, they come out with another car, right? We're in what, year 5 of the next gen, 4 of the next gen? Like we're getting to the halfway point of it. So I wonder if there's more for teams to figure out, or whether or not this is just what we're going to have for the next few years. So.
I don't know. I mean, you hear all the rumblings. I think there's definitely going to be some sort of a change in trying to get the underbody to not be so much of a thing. But I mean, kudos to them for trying something drastically different to improve the racing, and they went in a totally different direction. And I think a lot of stuff's been learned over the last several years. And I'm interested to see what they do with this car. I don't think the bodies, or like the outside of the cars, will change much in the next several years. But I think a lot of the underbody stuff will change, and try to get the cars to be a little bit more dependent on the over top of the body for the aero, and not so much underneath. And I think that'll drastically change the racing, and probably head in the right direction. I don't know, because the car is so different, and on that different tire, I mean, there's just so many different variables. But it'll be interesting to see what they do. But I definitely think you're going to see some changes over the next several years. I'm pretty positive on that.
Yeah, I could certainly see that coming into fruition. And how ironic was it that you get to drive the 44 this weekend in the Cup Series 2, designed by Pastana? I thought that whole deal coming together, did it almost feel like you were kind of still alpha priming on a Sunday? Is that as close as Tommy Joe's gotten to Sunday?
I don't know, man. I mean, it was cool to be in the same number both days. I think it was easy for my sponsors and people to understand that it was still me, and the car's looking so bright and so crazy and wild and cool. That people, I think just helped the fans know that it was still me. But I mean, it was a fun experience, and I had my guys come over and help. And we're there for practice. My engineer Ty was helping out, and Frank came over and watched practice. Even Tommy Joe on the Cup side, which practice was a little bit tough for us because we were literally, man. I mean, I was so loose I couldn't drive the car. Like if you go back, I made like a kind of a lap and came in, and then made a few more, like a lap and came in, and we're just like making big swings at the car because it was literally so loose. But yeah, I mean, it was cool to have that support. I've been with Alpha Prime now for a year and a half, and it's all my same guys from a year ago. We had Ty as an engineer on my car full time this year. We was on another car last year, but yeah, our relationships is super strong, and it's a pretty awesome group of guys, and I love racing with them, and Frank and all my guys, Clay, Ty, Victor, Alex, all of them. Tommy Joe's been a great leader for the team, and yeah, I've just really enjoyed myself racing with them the last year and a half. It's been a tremendous amount of fun, and then to have their support when I jumped in the Cup car was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's an interesting dynamic. I mean, Mason, what was your first observation getting to run over there for Alpha Prime? I know you kind of described it as like a fever dream sometimes because it was like one race and your schedule's so busy. But getting to drive for Tommy Joe and the big old C's Baccarella in a sense, how was that for you?
I mean, those guys are passionate, and it's pretty evident in the way Tommy Joe runs his program. And obviously, he was smart to put our guest in the car by a mile, and having having a guy like Brennan with his experience and being able to find good people, right? People don't realize it, but that's a big part of the sport. Is you could get all the nice equipment that you want, but if you don't have the right people behind it, you're not going to do anything with it. And that's something that I noticed over at Alpha Prime was there was a lot of good people that were passionate and want to see it succeed, almost if not just as bad as Tommy Joe and Caesar do. So I give those guys a lot of credit. They do a really good job with what they got, and obviously, it's proven with guys like Brennan that are able to get great results in those cars, and obviously Parker's done a pretty good job this year as well, and a lot of the guys that have hopped in the 45 car this year as well have done a pretty good job as well. So they're doing a lot of things right, and they're definitely the leaders of what I like to call our class, which is all the smaller teams. And I like to think that I can try to be close to Brennan. The closest I was able to be to Brennan this year was Nashville in qualifying, and then as soon as the green flag drops, woo. But no, they do a great job, and no, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with for sure.
Yeah, I actually have let's talk about the Alpha Prime note real quick, right? So here you are, Brennan. You're known, at least in the people I know in NASCAR, as one of the grinders, one of the guys who truly is like a thoroughbred racing kind of dude, right? So here you are, you're at Chip Ganassi, shit happens, right? Mm-hmm. You end up having to go race for the 47 and I think the 52, right? That was a tough year. Then you find yourself in a little bit of a better situation in the 6. Then you find yourself in Alpha Prime, and for the past 3 years, every year has gotten a little bit better. Talk about the mentality, the grind, what it kind of took for you to go from a top-tier competitive. I think you were top 5 in points with CGR too.
Yeah.
Playoff driver, Brennan Poole.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's tough. I don't know. I mean, I definitely learned a lot in that situation. But I mean, before I got my break at Ganassi, I was driver coaching and I was spotting and I was filming dartfish for RCR, and I was doing a bunch of jobs, and I didn't think that I was going to get an opportunity to race in one of the top 3 levels. So I was like, sort of, trying to figure it out. And I got an opportunity to fill in for John West Townley at Kentucky in the Zaxby's car, because their trucks were racing somewhere else. I don't really know. And then I ended up winning that race. And then that's kind of what ultimately got me the opportunity to go to the H. Scott Ganassi deal. And then through that, I just kind of learned a little bit more about the business of the sport, and how things kind of worked. And then also just people and what it takes to be successful and get results at this level. Because it's really, really, really difficult. It's really hard. I think, when all that stuff went down, I wasn't quite sure, if I'd even ever race again. And I got an opportunity to actually drive at the end. Once I got through all the lawsuit stuff and all that stuff got settled, I got a chance to drive the Vision Motorsports truck. I don't know if you had the 35 truck. I don't know if you guys remember that at all. That was in 2018, and I ran 2 races. And I finished 15. I got stage points and finished 15th at Texas, which was pretty cool. And then we went and ran Miami and ran 19th. But the 30 truck, which was basically was it JGL at Xfinity team, the 28?
It was, yeah.
Yeah, JGL. So that became On Point Motorsports, which was a truck team, and they were trying to build that program up. And I ended up beating them in that truck at Miami. And I remember Bones, Stephen Lane, just basically was had the team call me up, and we tried to figure out how to race for them. So then the next year, we really didn't have that much money. And I drove that truck, and we ended up finishing 2nd at Charlotte, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, wasn't it Kyle Busch who beat you?
Yeah, Kyle Busch beat me. And we didn't have a left front shock on the truck either. It broke. So that was pretty crazy too. But for whatever reason, Charlotte's been a really good place for me. So I just have a lot of confidence there and kind of know what I need to do. I always ran good there. So that helped. And then that kind of, helped me with finding more sponsors and other stuff. And I'd been talking to the Premium Cup team about, driving for them a few times. And then, some stuff came through and was talking about me driving there full time in 2020. And then kind of all that stuff came together. So then I drove the 15 Cup car full time in 2020. And not many people know, but I actually did after 2020, which I had a pretty good year. Like we finished 9th at Talladega, finished 16th in the Daytona 500. Like did some pretty cool stuff for a Cup team with like less than our Alpha Prime Xfinity budget, right? Like it's pretty good. And anyways, with COVID and stuff, I actually lost a sponsor because there was uncertainty about like how many fans would be let in the stands and what they were going to do. So, but I had signed like a 2-year deal with like a major Cup team that is still running right now. And I was like, dude, it was like huge moment for me. And it kind of was like a moment when I had signed that where I felt like, okay, well, if I only get to run these 2 years, right, at least I feel like I did it, and I did it with a respectable Cup team. And I'm like, that was my dream my whole life. Like I would have felt like I did it. Right. But then it like all fell apart in like the end of January. So then I had nothing. And I know I'm telling you guys this long story, but I went snowboarding with my cousin. I broke my wrist. I had surgery. I got a plate in my wrist now. And then I ended up going back to race the 30 truck, but I was hurt all year. So I ran one race just to see if I could even if I could even do it, because my wrist was all jacked up. And it went really well. Ran Texas again, finished 14th. It was like, okay, well, I still really want to do this, but had nothing, had no sponsorship money. And then Mike Harmon called me up in 2022, which was really difficult. My mom passed away in 2022 in February, unexpectedly, which is why I have the bleached hair. Everyone always asks me about the bleached hair, but it's to remember my mom. But Mike called me up and asked me to come like try to qualify his car in. Like they didn't have a driver and they were trying to figure, it's always a little chaotic over there on those short, small deals. It's like madness. But I was like, okay, I mean, like, what am I going to do? My mom just passed away. I mean, it'd be nice to be at the track and see people I know and at least kind of do something that's a little bit more my routine. So started doing that. And Mike knew Tim Veens, who owned the G2G truck, and he wanted me to run the G2G truck some too. So I started doing that. So I started running both of those. And I think it was Darlington where I qualified Mike's car in, but it rained in the middle of the qualifying, but like I was way in the race and it rained. And I remember Brian Barry, who was doing all the stuff for Johnny Davis at the 6 car at the time, basically kind of was, wanted to figure out how to get me to drive one of Johnny's cars. Like, let's figure it out. And I met with Johnny in Bristol. And I had met the McDoors family that year. And they were helping me a little bit. So I kind of told them about the opportunity at Johnny's to run, like 3 races at the end of that year. Basically it all came together and they did a little sponsorship deal for me to run those 3 races with Johnny. And I think we were like running in the top 10 at Texas and got wrecked with John Hunter Nemechek and Allgaier, which stunk, but we were going to have a really good day there. And then we went and ran 12th all day in Miami and finished 14th. And then I think from that point, we're like, okay, well, this is kind of fun. This is competitive. I want to do this. So we figured it out with Johnny, and we had a few other sponsors throughout the year. And of course, the McDoors family was a big part in helping me be there and run that year with him. So we did that. And through that year, I met more sponsorship stuff. And I think Tommy Joe and I had a conversation in Indy in the middle of that year that I drove the 6 in 2023. And we started talking about what it would look like if I drove there. He had a relationship with one of the guys that was helping me find some sponsorship money at the end of that year. So it ended up all working out and coming together. And I got the opportunity to drive the 44 full-time last year. And then of course it was a great year, almost won a race and finished 16th in the points. And about as good as year as you can have. And I think this year it's fired off even better. We already have 2 top 5s and lots of top 20s. We've had a couple of incidences that have been unfortunate out of my control, really. I mean, I wish there was something more I could have done in some of those incidences that we had, but just part of racing sometimes. And it's crazy because the Xfinity field is so competitive right now. I have scored way more points to this point in the season as I did last year, and I'm a few spots farther behind in the points. So if that tells you anything, I mean, it's just like crazy competitive this year. Just a lot of really good cars that all have leased engines. I've had one leased engine this year, which was this past week at Pocono. So to have 2 top 5s without lease motors and stuff like that, man, it's pretty awesome. We have a really, really great race team. We just don't quite have all the tools, but we don't care, man. We don't care about the circumstances. We just go in and try to be the best people we can be, and it turns into good results, which makes it a lot of fun.
And that's why people want to take a swim in the Poole fan club. You know?
Let me tell you something. That is why we love this show and what we love to bring to this show, because we literally just got the entire career of Brennan Poole right there. Story told by Brennan Poole. It's amazing. You've had an amazing journey, so many ups and downs. To now be at the point where obviously all of us here in this room have so many connections at Alpha Prime, and we know how great they are.
One thing that I'll say too is like you can't ever give up. I mean, like when I was driving Mike's car in the G2G truck, and I'm like, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to race until I can't drive anything anymore. People are calling me. I'm going to keep doing it. Like I felt like God's opening that door, right? So I'm going to go through it. But in 2023, like I raced 7 cup races for Rick Ware, and like I was driving Mike's car the year before. I had nothing. And you know what I mean? Like you don't know what's going to happen. You just want to have faith and keep working. And, I feel like that's all I've ever done. It's like I'd go all the way back to before I even got my break. Like I had no idea how I was going to get an opportunity to race. And I was filming Dartfish and spotting, and I was coaching other drivers like Justin Boston and I mean, I spotted a race for Eric Jones, and we won the race, and I was spotting for him in the arc. Right. So like I've kind of gone through a lot of different things and seen a lot of different things. But yeah, man, I'm just really grateful that I still get to drive race cars and make a living doing it, because this is all I've ever wanted to do. So to be one of the 38 guys that gets to race on Saturdays is pretty cool. And I've made 43 cup starts now, which is man, it's like, I think 5-year-old me would think that that's pretty awesome, right? Like as a competitor, which all you guys are, it's like, you always want more. You always want more, but sometimes you just have to be grateful for the things that you're doing now, and grateful that you have a shot to continue to move forward, and that, hey man, there's another day coming, and just to keep doing what you're doing. So for me, that's all I've tried to focus on, right? It's like, I don't know what's going to happen the next day, but I know that I'm going to be driving that race car in Atlanta on Friday night, and I'm going to go there and be the best prepared I can be and do the best job I can and see what the next door is, right? Go on to the next one.
So I got a question for you, Brennan. So first of all, you got a little bit of time here.
Yeah,
we got it's our first double guest deluxe Motor Stardom show episode. Now you said you had 43 cup starts.
Yeah, I think that's correct, right? Is it right?
43. We fact checked it.
It would have been cool if it was 44 last week.
I believe it would have been. Here's what I'll tell you why it's cool. That's 43. So you got a whole studio there. You want to be an interviewer real quick and ask somebody a question who's had 433 cup starts?
Okay.
All right. Let's bring him in here. Let's get crazy. Let's get crazy here in the Motor Stardom show. 43 cup starts to 433 cup starts, I believe, and that is true. I did look that up, so we are correct on that. Jeremy Mayfield, you're all set up. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. How about you guys?
Oh, we're doing good. We're just hanging out here. This is a little Tuesday night show we have every week. We've had Brennan Poole. Have you heard of the great Brennan Poole?
Oh yeah.
Hey, Jeremy.
About him. Hey man, how's it going?
I'm good, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I know you're doing good, and been watching you, and not just you, but watching the races every once in a while and see your name up there. So it's good.
Thank you. Really appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm in my 30s, so I was watching. Man, I had your little cars when I was racing quarter midgets, the legend cars and stuff. I followed you all the time. So
I always wondered when that time was going to come. When the old guys, I remember I drove for Kale and all that stuff, and I was like, man, wonder where that transition comes in. And now I get people saying, oh man, I used to watch you when I was a little kid, in your little cars, and just like you just said. So I feel like I'm getting old, now, and kind of one of the older guys that's on their way out. So
yeah, but man, what a awesome career. I mean, it's like,
oh yeah, I've had a great career.
Yeah, it's like,
but like you said, it was you got to enjoy every moment, man. You got to take it one race at a time and just live life and enjoy what you got going on now. And like I said, it flies by. Next thing you don't know, your career's done. And it seems like 10 or 15 years just goes fast when you're living that type of lifestyle and racing every week, and you just don't have time to stop and really think what time's about. And it happens really fast.
Yeah,
there's so many different schedules in here as far as racing. Jeremy, this is Stephen Malazzi up at the top right. Stephen, if you want to explain yourself, what you do.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Stephen Malazzi. I'm the 4th best driver on this podcast right now, which is just brutal. But I'm a part-time Truck Series and one-time Xfinity Series driver who also attends law school right now.
Well, that's good. That's a good start anyway.
Yeah. Mason Maggio, you're up, baby.
Maggio, bottom left.
Yep. How's it going, Jeremy? I race part-time in Xfinity and trucks, and I don't know if you remember it, but back at PRI, I was doing an appearance for one of my sponsors, Flitz Polish. Shout out to them.
Yeah.
And you happened to come up to the booth, and we had a conversation about with you, me, and my dad about going to drive your vintage Cup car in the series. I forgot what series it was, but we had a conversation about potentially putting something like that together. So it's good to be able to talk to you again and be able to hopefully share some cool stories and have some fun on the show.
Yeah, what you got going on? Did you get your ride or anything, or what's happening?
Yeah, I've been busy, man. We just like both you and Brennan have said, just trying to take it one race at a time, one day at a time. So just trying to thrash and put whatever I can together. But it's been going good. But hopefully at some point soon when we have an opening, I'd love to come give you a call and go have some fun short track racing.
Yeah, just let me know. It'd be cool.
Yes, sir.
And that is Mason Maggio. We know Brennan Poole. We were talking about Pocono. And so Brennan Poole just raced double duty this weekend. Stephen Malazzi's Mr. Pocono didn't get to race this weekend, but has raced there in the He's done double duty before in trucks and Xfinity. You post this. I don't know how much you can see the screen, but I saw you post.
I was just going to bring that up, man.
We were. Everybody was talking about this one. We know you've been a very successful guy at Pocono, it seems, in the past. And we know everybody saw the tweet that you sent out about, nobody's really forgotten about this move and how iconic it was, right? 25 years since then. What do you take from how big that moment probably was in your career? And I mean, what stuff do you remember from that day?
Oh, I remember everything. I remember every lap just about, but it was one of those deals that, that's something you dream about when you're a kid. I heard you say, Brandon, a while ago about, when you're young and thinking about all this stuff. And it's just one of those deals that the last lap, last corner, Pocono, and you're behind Dale Earnhardt, that's something you dream about. And it just came true that day. We had a great car. He and I were about 4th and 5th just about all day long. And Rusty was leading the race, and Ricky Rudd, I think, and Dale Jarrett. And but Dale and I have been running together all day pretty much. And it's pretty cool because at the end we both put on 2 tires and got us up front, and kind of screwed my teammate a little bit. He come on the radio when the caution come out. He was leading. He's like, "Man, you're going to put on 4, right?" Because he knew if I put on 4 and he put on 4, his team, his pit crew was a little bit faster than ours, so he was going to beat me out. I'm like, yeah, we'll put on 4, and I knew we would do 2 all the time. So it wasn't nothing for us to put on 2 tires. And I come down pit road and my they changed my jack the right side up, and dropped it. And he said, "What do you want to do?" And I was like, "Go." So we took off after the rights dropped, and going down pit road is slow. Nobody was pulling out, just by myself. I'm like, man, we're going to be leading this thing. And then all of a sudden, Earnhardt pulls up in front of me. They did the same thing, and Rusty was highly pissed afterwards because we told him we was going to do 4, and we did 2. And I think he ended up like 14th or something. But anyway, that was just a great day. I remember the whole day perfectly, and I had a great car. And back then, most guys would shift, down the front stretch going to overdrive, and then we go back down into 1. Well, we were the only car that was shifting twice. Like I had another gear I could use, going in for the tunnel turn. I could go ahead and go back down to my other gear, which had a lower rear gear and a different overdrive. So that gave me a momentum to be able to get off the tunnel, when I needed to. And that's what happened. We just got to run on him. And, going into 3, I wasn't sure I was going to be able to pass him because he's hard to pass, But when I got there, I seen his car start just barely starting to lose the back end. So I just kept my nose right there on him, and then he just kind of slid up sideways or whatever. But that's usually, you don't see Earnhardt ever do that before, and I didn't know if I was going to do it, but I wanted to let him know I was there anyway, and it just worked out for us.
Yeah,
So
you sure let him know you were there. And those cars, we were just talking about the next gen car, which I'm sure you've seen. Brennan just raced it this weekend and has raced it in the past. You've raced Gen 4, which Gen 3, would we call Gen 3 of you, the
Right.
Generation 3 race car? So, but first, Jeremy, I'll let you go. What have you seen as far as out of that next gen Cup Series racing that you think is like hugely, drastically different from what we were racing 20 years ago?
Well, I mean, I'm just going by what I hear, just on watching them guys run. And but I've watched this thing happen in the past. We did a couple times throughout my career. Was that the first thing that you do is you take away horsepower, then they take away downforce, then they take away horsepower and take away downforce, and the result's the same when it gets there. The cars, you can't pass, you can't drive them, and they say, oh, we want to put it back in the driver's hands. That's not really putting it back in the driver's hands. That's just taking downforce away. And I don't think there's a driver out there that would say, hey, man, cut my spoiler off. Cut 4 inches off my spoiler. Nobody's going to say that. Nobody wants that, or raise my air dam up in the front, 3 inches, That's just something drivers don't want, they don't like, and I just think with that car that just from what I can tell, it just and then the horsepower wise, I think they're 550 or whatever it is now, or whatever the numbers are. But I mean, it's supposed to be the number one, the top of the line series in the world, and I just can't believe that you got to take downforce away and take motor away to make a better show, and that's the only thing I'm confused about. And pretty much, I'm not sure the racing's any better. I haven't seen that pretty much any. It doesn't seem like it's helped it any, and which is what the fans want to see. And as far as the thing I guess that baffles me the most is that they want to come up with a car that it's all the same, everything's the same, all this got to be right, and it's all we got to be for whatever. But then you got 30 something different drivers, that like different things, like I know Rusty now, like Rusty would, he'd have his bodies pulled all the way back when we could do that. He'd want them all the way back as far as you can get them, and I want mine forward, just because that's just the difference in the drivers. And the way we set up our cars was different. He'd run big springs, I'd run soft springs, and just a lot of differences in it. And I think that's what made racing so good, was that you had those opportunities to make your car fit the driver or the driver fit the car. You know what I mean? It's like, Kyle Busch has shown, Kyle Busch is a great race car driver. Look what he's doing now. He just doesn't like that car. It doesn't fit his style. And I think that's what's pretty bad, is when you got a, situation like that where, Brennan, if you're driving a car and you like a loose car and they're all tight, well, you're probably not going to run good, Yeah. So I think they ought to let it have some type of flexibility within the teams. Let the teams become teams and get better, and change a little fenders or something, do something a little bit different to make the cars fit their driver.
Yeah, and one thing I'll say too, Jeremy, is like there's so much. I mean, when I first started, racing ARCA and Xfinity and stuff, 10 years ago, we didn't quite have all the data that they have now. But I mean, and now with the majority of the cars being the same, I mean, you can literally look at where every driver shifts, where every driver hit the brakes, where they turn, when they turn, what line. And so when you learn, like, okay, that's the fastest way to get around this racetrack, then all the drivers are good enough, like, to go copy that.
Right.
Everyone runs the same, and then you can't pass. There's not a lot happening, and everything just gets spread out, and there's no racing really happening. And I think that's
you talk about Pocono with Earnhardt now. Rusty was leading. He come in, went out 14th. The pit crew had a big deal to do with that. We put on 2, he put on 2, and I know you guys can still do that today, but it just seemed like we were able to make our cars better, adjustment, make different decisions and different strategies and all that. And I know that's still like that some, but it's not like it was, where, the Chevrolets are a little bit different than Fords a little bit different than Dodges and Toyotas or whatever, and I just think that needs to go back into it a little bit, and the more they take away to that, and the more that, like you said, the more they add the data, we can see what everybody's got going on, the less the driver's really got to do with it. I mean, not the less he's got to do with it, but you can't do anything about it. When your car is bad, you can sit there and run as hard as you want to run, and you can't make a difference. As what I've seen, like the car just becomes numb to you, and you just make laps and hope that you get a good pit stop, or hope a caution comes out and you can have a good strategy or whatever. And instead of being able to, work on it. And I mean, I remember the days when the guys would be running up front, and all of a sudden they'd make one little bad adjustment and go to the back, and you see them fall back and all this. You just don't see that anymore. Everybody just kind of sits there and runs, and you just got to hope for the best or get all you can on the restarts and then hold your own, But and another thing is that I'm gonna keep ranting on here about it, but when you got to start putting traction down on the racetrack and that doesn't make sense either. I mean, I know it all feels good when they put whatever that stuff they spray on the racetrack is. They got several names for it, but you take downforce away, then you got to go add traction to the track. You take downforce away, and you got to have more grip in your tires. It's just a no ending battle there when you start taking away downforce. It seems like to me,
Yeah, I would have to agree. They call it the PJ1, the traction compound.
Yeah.
What's the new one now? The resin.
Oh God! Don't even get me started on that crap.
And I can understand if it was like places where there's just the bottom groove or something, and you want to make it interesting. You go in and spray the high groove or something like that. But that's not the reason why they're doing that. They're doing it because the cars need grip, and they need whatever the reason is, whether it's tires, downforce, or whatever. But it just seems like I don't know, that to be like I said, the top of the line series, you shouldn't have to go through all that just to put on a good race,
Correct me if I'm wrong. Did they put that at Bristol this year, right?
Yes.
And everybody complaining about it because.
Well, the thing about it too is they spray it down at the bottom at Bristol, and it was there for they have the whole truck race before, and then Xfinity gets out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, even in our practice, we're already trying to get the top to come in, and then by the end of the first stage, the bottom's like it's not strong enough. It doesn't matter. We're just running the top, and then so when the Cup race happens, sometimes they respray it again, sometimes not. And then they end up running the top anyways too. So doesn't really do that much. I was kind of against all that stuff. It's like let the racetrack be what the track's going to be, and let us figure it out. Even like when they repaved Texas and they sprayed up, and Texas was a handful, not a lot of grip. It was a mess, but but we are professional race car drivers in teams. Let us just race the track how it is.
And that's my whole point, is just like you just said, let the teams figure it out and not try to manipulate, where you want them to run or whatever,
Yeah. Well, you just end up like at Texas, for example, you just run the top lane the whole time because it's just so much. So why we just moved it from being the bottom the whole time to just being like the middle of the track the whole time.
Right. Or if you go run the top, just spray the top. That'd make it even more interesting. They spray at the bottom. Where nobody's going to be running. Spray up top. It'll be a heck of a race.
Guys, let's just spray the whole damn track. What are we doing?
Yeah, might as well. Or hey, I got a good idea. How about just add some spoiler to it, or some front air down. Go back where you're stuck and you don't need it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought what they kept doing to Bristol was really odd. I was never a fan of it.
Sticks out the most.
Because I mean, it was interesting the races that we'd create. Like you're talking about the 500 lap Cup races where we'd go out there and you'd start, everybody's hugging the bottom because it would all depend. I feel like, Brennan's talking about it all depends on track time before it. I feel like too as well, where it's like some days they would go, okay, we're gonna respray it this morning, and like teams wouldn't know. That was a thing, right, Brennan? I don't know how much you experienced that in your teams like recently, but wouldn't NASCAR just come out and be like, you wouldn't know if they were going to respray it the next day or not?
Well, they would tell you if they were, and sometimes they didn't, and sometimes they'd say they weren't, and they would. I mean, it just kind of depended upon what happened in usually the truck race for me, because I'm running all the Xfinity stuff, would determine on what they did. And the other drivers, like I think the driver council they have some say too over what they do and when they spray. So there is some other people that have say in what happens there with that. But yeah, I mean, it's been a little bit of are they not? They said they are, maybe they're not, like I know Bristol, they said they were going to again, and I don't think that they did. And then, yeah, like literally after the first stage of the Xfinity race, you're just running a fence at Bristol. It just comes up, and it's just not that it doesn't work anymore.
Right. And for all places I have to spray as Bristol, I can remember we used to go there and never have a problem, just stuck to the racetrack, and just like you said, as the race goes on, you start moving up and, not to the top. But even before they concreted it, you could really run up there. It was really wild, but just kind of different. Did they spray Dover too? Has Dover been sprayed or?
No, they don't. They didn't spray Dover. But the thing that's weird about Bristol, Jeremy, is that they spray the stuff down on the bottom groove like a couple feet. And when you get your lefts in it and you're kind of right on the paint because it kind of builds up right on the bottom of the track because of the banking. So there's like more grip, like kind of touching, like old Atlanta, like touching the paint. But when you come out of it, because where they stop where it sprays, and you're carrying so much more speed, and you come out in the way Bristol, that banking, how it kind of like go, you know what I mean? The whole car just jumps sideways, and you're like, whoa. You almost have to like, you're like hauling ass through it, and then you have to like, whoa a minute, and make sure the car settles. It's really good.
And then from there on, then you're dreading kind of doing that. You know what's going to happen when you come out, you know?
Yeah, it's just crazy because you're trying to anticipate that moment of when you lose the grip. And it's just it's just kind of a weird, like you're not using normal driving, you know, stuff that you've learned. It's just like it doesn't apply at all. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah,
that's pretty wild.
Historically, do we all like Bristol? I know what Stephen Malazzi thinks, but like,
don't even get me started.
Listen, I never raced the old Bristol. I've only been. The first time I drove Bristol was like right after they repaved it and put the progressive banking in it. So I don't know the old version, but when you run it up against the fence and doing how we have to do it now, it's pretty. It's pretty like physically demanding. It's pretty like, to me, and it's so to me like it's not always my favorite to go there and do that. I love the short tracks, but I like the more flatter tracks like Richmond and New Hampshire, and like I always enjoyed those more than Bristol.
I remember the first time that I went first time I ran Bristol the whole race was with Cale, you know, signed on with Cale Yarborough, and it was the old Bristol, and it was pretty demanding. Like you had to run hard, and it was just stuck in your head. It was just, you know, hanging over like this, you know, just especially if you weren't used to it. And I can remember I felt like, man, I can't even hold my head up anymore, and I was getting fumes in the car rather than smack the wall and everything, you know. And I thought, this thing's got to be about over with. We run and run forever. And finally, my neck just gives out, and it's just hanging over like this. You know, back then, we really didn't have headrests too much, no Hans or nothing, you know. And I can remember a caution coming out. I'm like, thank God, you know. And I'm right around the caution. I can't even pull my head up. I had to like take my hand and hold it up. And I was like, this thing's got to be over. And I look up at the scoreboard, and it's like lap 240 or something like that. We weren't even halfway yet. I thought, man, there's no way I can run the rest of this race, especially with Cale there. You know, he used to do it one-handed, you know what I mean? When he's sitting in the car, his neck's all up like this, you know, and them guys had it rough, you know. So I couldn't complain. I couldn't say anything was wrong, or couldn't tell him my neck was, you know, give out or nothing. So I just figured out a way to just kind of learn how to just lay my head over and what headrest I did have, you know, when we finished the race. But I'll never forget how wore out I was. You know, that's the point where I really learned how to just sit in the car and not physically, you know, be demanding, just, you know, gripping the steering wheel, and you're all just trying to drive and be all tense. You just got to sit there and just relax and drive the thing and become part of it, you know, and just let it just, you know, do what it wants to do. And that's certainly one of the times that I learned real quick that you're not going to be able to sit there and just, you know, just drive the wheels off of it, manhandle it all day long for 500 laps there. So it was definitely an experience.
I'll add a qualifying factor to my statement about why I hate Bristol. If you are in a fast race car or anywhere near a competitive race car, I bet you Bristol is a lot of fun. When you are with RBR, and Josh Rayum will admit this, so I'm not insulting Josh. This is out of Josh's mouth. Our worst track is Bristol. Always has been. It's Josh's nightmare track too. When we go there, we are just off the pace. And it's like within 8-9 laps, we're in the way, and we are in the way for the rest of the race. So it is like,
and in the way of Bristol is definitely not fun. That's for sure.
So I think that's probably why I hate Bristol. Maybe if I were in something where I'm fighting for 17th or 18th place, I'm like, yeah, this is great. This is awesome. You know, you're short track racing. But when you're in my position at Bristol, it's not a good time. It is not a good time.
No, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
A bad day, it sucks, you know.
Yeah, it sucks. I've been in, and I've run the cup race there a few times, and same thing. Like, you know, I was in a 28th to like 30th place cup car, and it's the same thing. You're just like, man, and I know exactly what you're talking about. It's like you got to sit there and try to not get tense and just relax and drive the car, because 500 laps at that place is.
Then all you do is inside out, looking inside, looking outside, looking inside the whole race, you know, because they never, you know, they got a freight train behind you coming, and you know, you're waiting to hear clear, and by the time you hear clear, you jump in, and here they come, another row of them, you know. And then the leaders are back on you again, but
spotters lose their voices by the time they're done calling. where all the leaders are going to be at. But I love Bristol. I just wish Bristol loved me back, But first time I ever went to Bristol was last year. It was in the truck field. I was driving a couple races for a startup team last year. And we brought a 1.5 mile truck to Bristol twice. So you can imagine how fun that was, not being able to quite be where we wanted to be. And then I was actually pretty excited to be back there in the Xfinity car a couple months back. And then next thing you know, as I'm starting to get comfortable and having some fun, next thing you know, the upper control arm breaks, we hit the wall. Team spends a lot of time trying to get that thing fixed. And I felt as soon as we get back out there, I'm like, all right, everything feels good. I think I could start, passing some of the guys in front of us and, putting together a good race. And then as soon as I think that, I think the right front spindle broke and we hit the wall in the exact same place. So like I said, I love Bristol. I just hope it loves me back when I have to go back there in the fall, but hopefully it'll be much better in different circumstances than the last 3 times I've been there. So
Two things to add. Hey, Maggio, do you remember who finished last in the truck race that weekend?
Yes.
Because I do.
That was our famous episode from last episode. Bristol wasn't nice to anybody. Bristol wasn't nice to Brennan Poole that weekend either. Jeremy, I know you've seen some torn up race cars, but this was Brennan Poole's car.
Yeah, it's pretty bad, man.
After
it's not a good
yeah,
day.
that's not good.
Don't worry, it's not over.
Yeah.
Expecting until you bring it in, they're gonna fix it. You can go back out.
Man, it was bad. I bruised my ribs in that crash, and I felt it for 7 weeks. Man, it took me 7 weeks to get over there. I definitely had like some cartilage damage. So, but that's probably in my NASCAR career, that's probably the only like real injury I guess I've had. When I raced midgets and did other stuff, I had some other stuff that was worse than this. And of course, the safety stuff has changed so much from when I was, younger to now. It's a lot different. But yeah, man, I was like messed up. What made me feel the best though is that I went to Rockingham the next week with bruised ribs, and we finished 4th. So that was great way to bounce back after that. But I was bummed, man, because I was in the dash for cash, and I probably didn't have anything for Justin Allgaier, but I think we were going to be able to beat the 21 and the 00. So
blame that one on my spotter if I were you. I just say, look,
yeah,
blame it on him.
Yeah, well, I had I forget what he said. He just said bottom, and it was 2.2. They were the next cars in front of me. Yeah. So, and you know how Bristol is when you're in the banking, you can't really see.
Oh, yeah. No, so you're looking up top of the windshield,
Yeah, so I can't see really, and I hear bottom, and I start hitting the brakes, but I had already been in the top, back to the gas, coming off the top there. So I just slammed on the brakes and tried to get to the left. I think
that's one of those deals you weren't going to get around that one. You really probably come out better than you probably should have,
Yeah, because he's sitting. He's blocking the whole track. Even if I go right, I'm no matter what I do there, I'm kind of.
If you'd went straight, it would have been you had more than bruised ribs in.
Yeah, it would have been bad. And I probably would have hurt him more too. Yeah. Him in the door, So it's and as a driver, I feel like when you see that other driver's door facing you, it's just instinctual to just do everything you can to not hit him, right?
That's one of those deals too. It's when you see it coming in slow motion, you're like,
yeah,
it seems like it takes forever to get there, and all of a sudden it's lights out,
Yeah, that's exactly what it was like for me, But that's what's cool, getting to talk to other drivers, because that's something that our sport, the fans that can't get in a race car or have that experience, they don't know what some of those moments feel like, and a lot of us here, we've all kind of had those moments in our careers, and we're kind of part of this unique club, where it's we've seen and felt things and can talk about things and we know exactly what that feels like,
right?
And I think that's cool too. But that is something
I'm trying to explain that to somebody that has never raced or whatever, your family or whatever friends. It is different because they really look at it as it just goes right on top of their head. They don't tell you that, but they don't have a clue what you're talking about.
Yeah,
when you're saying stuff like that, or the way the car chatters the front or does something weird, and that situation there was bad, and like I said, that's all you can do is slide into him and hopefully come back out, but you ain't gonna make it back out with that one,
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely drifted it out of 4 there. So that was certainly an insane visual. And I wanted to try something here for a quick little, I guess, a little mini segment where I just display a picture and you describe to me what kind of that day was like. What do you remember from it? So I'll start with you, Jeremy. I got a few queued up here. Let's go with this one. This is the last one I got right here.
Okay.
What do you remember from this? What was your favorite part about this day? Obviously, took the checkered flag here. You got Dodge on the car. They're coming back,
right.
Which is cool. But
yeah, really cool. That's Michigan, right?
Yes.
Yeah. We worked really hard on trying to win a race on fuel mileage because we feel like we lost several, over the years on fuel mileage. And that day there, we just stretched it out. Just trying our best to make it to the end and still be competitive and still hold on to the lead and this, that, and the other. And it's really hard to do, when it's probably the hardest thing you can do is win on fuel mileage when they put it all in the driver's laps. You know that, and it's not something you can start on your last run. You got to start this early, from lap 1 pretty much to build it, to know the numbers and build in the way you're driving it and everything else so that it comes down to the last run. You know exactly what to do. And that day there, we, had been doing good all day long, as far as, saving fuel, whatever, but it come time on the last stop to make it all happen. And of course it went green all the way. And, I was just hoping that it was going to work out. And I know we were going to be a couple laps shy. And so I was even saving more. But yeah, we went on to win the race and that was, pretty cool. It pisses all of them off when you win on fuel mileage because everybody's mad because you did, and I'm sure they were mad at us that day, but it was pretty cool to do that.
Yeah, 19 car won on fuel mileage this weekend as well in the Cup race. So that is cool how those tied together. And then, Brennan, this image I have for you, maybe some people don't know this story. I think I remember watching this race live, and I thought it was funny. So I just want to show you this image. And so you describe what happened this day.
Yeah.
He always showing you wrecking, man. What's going on there?
No,
that's not Brennan. That's not Brennan Poole.
So JJ Yaley, right reared me head on into the fence at Iowa, and this was like, I don't know, this was very early in my career. This is like my 3rd or 4th Xfinity start ever.
Yeah.
And I think he thought that I packed air on him and like got him loose or something. And I'm like on the very bottom of the track. I just went underneath him because he got loose. This is like lap 1. He just turned left and nailed me in the right rear, turned me head on to the fence. So they fixed my car in the garage area because there's no DVP or any of that stuff anymore. And I went back out onto the track and I turned him right rear head on into the fence in the exact same spot.
Well,
that did it to me. And and then I got parked and I got yelled at by Wayne Otten for like an hour.
But the good thing about that is once that people see that you're not going to take that, then that's a good sign because then you won't be messed with that much,
Yeah, for sure.
If you hadn't done that, then they've been taking you out all the time,
Yeah, exactly. I had to stand my ground, and I feel like that from that day forward too. I think I like actually just gained respect, and JJ and I, of course, never had a problem after that. Right. So but yeah. But I remember getting yelled at. Yeah, but it's all good.
That's funny. Suspension today.
Do you what?
I said if you did that today, that's probably a suspension.
Well, I think I got away because like it was pretty clear. Like they showed, we all looked at the replays and everything, and I mean, he turned me head on into the fence. Like it was pretty intentional.
Yeah, if you're going to come
back,
right? If you're going to come back and get them back, you just got to make it look like it's their fault.
Yeah.
You get under a guy and he comes down on you. Let him do that a couple of times and just stay there. And then he's going to come down and gone.
Yeah.
There's ways of doing it.
Yeah.
Brennan, did you have to come up with an excuse, being like, "Hey, man," like to Wayne Otten, being like, "Hey, man, sorry, I sneezed." I don't know, like.
No, I didn't say anything. They told me not to say anything, but then he asked me like what I thought, and I was like, "Hey, man, I think you should like yell at him because he like intentionally turned me head on into the fence. Nothing happened to him." And then it was like, I probably shouldn't have said that because it was like full tilt ballistic in there. And I was like, and I never said anything else the rest of the meeting until I left. So, but it's just part of it sometimes.
Man, you look crazy young in that interview. I'm watching. I don't remember this. I must not have watched this.
Listen, this is what multi-million-dollar lawsuits will do to you. You age pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Oh boy, so you're saying I'm in trouble after law school is what you're getting.
Yeah,
at.
Man. Good.
No, but if you're going to law school, that's probably smart.
Yeah, that's gonna be that's a good thing.
Yeah, you're gonna need it.
Yeah, are you seeing? You can see a little reflection of gray coming.
Well, Brennan, real quick before we let you go here, I got one more segment presented by Dempsey. This was a question of a friend here that I felt like we should put up here. I blocked out the name so you can just guess who this is. Ask Brennan if his cat bites people.
Yeah. I think I know who this person is. Yeah, my cat does. We had to take her front claws out a long time ago. She was ruining all my furniture. I couldn't get her to stop. So now she does get a little mouthy. And if you pet her, you pet her too much, she gets overstimulated and she will turn and she'll get you if you're not careful. And there's a few of my friends that know that, but you have to learn her techniques because she's super friendly and super talkative. But yeah, she'll turn on you quickly. So yeah.
Well, that's good. Yeah. Shout out to Carson Ware for that question. And so Brennan, obviously we'll let you go here. We'll wrap up with Jeremy. Thank you so much for joining us and getting to chat here with Jeremy Mayfield and all of us here on the Motor Stardom show. And it's been a long time coming. We've been trying to get you on here for a while.
Man, this is awesome.
Brennan's a busy guy.
Jeremy, I didn't know you were coming on here, man, but it was cool to talk to you, man.
Well, I didn't either, but we're here. So yeah, cool talking to you too, man. Good luck to you.
Thank you, guys.
We're the Motor Stardom show. We love the random interactions.
Right. All right.
We like to be creative.
I'll talk to all you guys later, man.
Yes, sir.
Sounds good. We'll see you in Atlanta.
See you.
All right, and that's Brennan Poole, who's hopefully going to have a fantastic weekend on ESPN Radio. I made my 3 picks for the Xfinity Series, and I put Brennan Poole in that 3. So, Jeremy, had you ever met Brennan before? Had any interactions with him before?
Never have. Like I said, he's a little bit younger than I was, and I probably was gone way before he got there, I think. I'd say.
Yeah. That's what we love.
I watched him race. I watched the race I've seen him racing, and he does a good job.
Yeah, he does a tremendous job, and that's just one of the things we try to bring with this show here. I thought it was when you said 43 wins, and I looked down at my thing, and I'm like 433 wins for Cup race, 43 Cup races. And then Jeremy Mayfield has 433 Cup races.
That's pretty well.
I was like, okay, let's segue this in here, but that was pretty awesome. So, Jeremy, we were talking about young drivers in the sport. That has been a focal point of conversation. We had Ricky Stenhouse Jr. on this show about 2-3 weeks ago. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen the fallout between him and Carson Hocevar and what's going on. I don't know about
just a little bit. I've seen the
yeah. So just give us first your thoughts. What do you think of Carson Hocevar? He's like that polarizing guy in the sport right now. You can compare it to what Ross Chastain was a few years ago. From your eyes, what do you see in Carson Hocevar? Is a little too much of this, too less of that, or you feel like he's right where he needs to be and needs to keep
I think he's right. Yeah, I think he's right where he needs to be from what I've seen, and usually when you're making them mad like that, you're running good, and he's running great, and from what I can tell, and he does a good job, and you're going to have enemies just like Kyle Busch did, and just like Ernie Irvin did, and you just go all the way down the line, down to Earnhardt did, and you just got to stand your ground though, if the best thing he's probably going to do is the next time Ricky gets in his car is let Ricky come out on the bad side. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he's going to stand up for himself and do whatever he's got to do to get these guys respect on and off the racetrack. And if I know that if someone jumped in my car and threatened me that whenever we get back to the States, we're going to do this or whatever you're going to do, it better happen. You know what I mean? Because if we get there the next week and everybody's going to say, well, what'd y'all do when you got back in the States? Which is what everybody's asking now, from what Ricky said to him. So, and I don't know Ricky very well either, but I do know that you got to stand your ground and gain respect, and sometimes you might have to take up for yourself.
Now, Jeremy, do you feel like back in the day when you were starting out and coming up with all the guys who were in your era, there was a lot more respect than there is today? And if there is, why do you feel like that is?
Well, I think a lot of it was the age difference in a lot of the drivers. I mean, you had like your senior class, Darrell Waltrip and Dale Earnhardt, Cale Yarborough, Richard Petty. You just the list goes on, and you don't see those anymore. You're not seeing any of them, in any of them at all. Kyle Busch, but he's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about there was a whole group of older drivers that had been there and paved the way for the sport, and nowadays it's like the young guys are coming in, and I don't think they really respect what's been laid down for them or whatever, as far as the races go and NASCAR goes. And, it just seems like there's nobody that's, I don't know. Maybe it's just me the way I see it, but it just seemed like the younger drivers, there's a lot of them, and none of them really, have that, I don't know, that Earnhardt feel about them, or whatever. I don't know if it's redneck or whatever you call it, or Southern or whatever you want to say it is, but there's no Cale Yarboroughs or none of them guys out there anymore. Doesn't seem like.
Yeah, that's a good point. Do you feel like some of it is also kind of the new policies and ways of NASCAR, right? We're winning in playoff system, everything where it's like win or this doesn't matter. Like second place, third place doesn't matter as much as it would have before to these drivers. Like, I mean, you can go back to, I'm sure you saw the Richmond finish last year.
Yeah.
With Austin Dillon playing bowling balls with the field over there. Do you feel like some of it has to do with the system they're dealt as well to where it makes them that way?
Right. I just know that if Dale Earnhardt was still here and he was out there and back in his, in the day, and you had Rusty Wallace and Mark Martin and the list goes on, everybody I raced against and Ricky Rudd, and just, if you had all those guys out there right now, it'd be a whole different story. You know what I mean? You wouldn't see all that beating and banging. And I don't think none of them realize that, or not none of them, but a lot of them don't realize that you're racing the leader all the time. You're not just racing each other. And you get so tied up in running, spending all your time running side by side or three wide or whatever, and the leader just keeps going faster and he just keeps catching, and next thing you know, it's all mixed up and just, I don't know, it's just hard to explain. Maybe it's the cars, maybe they just can't drive the cars or whatever it is, but it just doesn't seem like the racing is like it used to be for sure.
Yeah.
In my eyes, I mean, from what I've seen.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that. Mason Maggio, you got anything?
Yeah, I mean, I got to agree with that, but, since your time in NASCAR, you've been doing some dirt racing, you've been doing kind of switching over and doing a little bit of everything with, short track racing with modifieds and now the old cup cars. How has that been? Has that just been something, where it's kind of relaxed and fun for you to go do nowadays and still be able to, kind of get to that racing itch and still be able to go do it and have some fun?
Oh yeah, I'm having probably the best fun in my life, really, as far as my career goes, and I don't have all the pressure that I had on me when you're running in the Cup Series the way it was. There's just a lot of pressure week in and week out, and I don't have none of that anymore. Now I go race and I'm partners with a guy that we both get along great. There's no pressure from him, and we just go race and have fun, and it's really enjoyable for me because that's kind of the way it started for me, and then it got. I was 110% racer all the time, and then I got to where I was about 10% racer and 90% politician, I guess you'd say, which I'm not a very good one. So, y'all know what I'm talking about. You got just a lot of things happen in the sport. And you got to take care of a lot of things. But now I'm back to where I just race and I don't worry about all that stuff. And I can go out and if I want to change something on my car, it don't matter what it is, I can change it. If I want to make it better and widen the fenders out or change springs or shocks or whatever I want to do, I can do it. I don't have to go through all the steps of doing that. I don't have anybody saying, well, you can't do that because of this or whatever. And that's what I really like about racing is when I can go and kind of, work on my own car and get my stuff right. And because I know that, it don't take long to figure out if you're not in a good car and your car isn't handling right, you're not going to be a good driver. That's just the way it is. You got to be able to understand what you need in your car. And that's something I was really, feel like that is probably my strongest point was being able to go out and feel what I needed in my race car. And which I learned that from a lot of people, throughout my career. I got to drive with Rusty and teammate with him, and he taught me a lot. And I got to be teammates with Bill Elliott and work with Ray, and just I've been with a lot of good people, and I understand the sport and I understand how the cars work, and that's what you got to do, and that's what I'm doing now and having fun doing it.
Absolutely, yeah, and like you said, we talked about it a lot on the show. Obviously, myself as well as Steven and Brennan have all dealt with it. The sport at the end of the day, as far as NASCAR rankings, it absolutely is a business. So you got to focus on that aspect just as much, I feel like, now than you do driving half the time, just because sponsors are a big factor in it and teams and so forth. But
there's a fine line there, with what you're saying is yeah, you got to do all that, but you got to get there first. So how do you get there? You got to be able to figure out that balance between not pissing somebody off when, within the race team of what you want on your car or whatever, because it don't take long, which you guys know this. If you're running bad, it don't take long for that to be the driver's fault, and then next thing you know, you're out the door and then you don't get another chance. So you just got to learn how to put all that together and understand it is a business, but you got to understand if I don't get the job done, I'm not going to be here long, so you got to, I don't know, it's just a tough deal. And you get to the point where you're just like, okay, I know what I'm doing, because you'll beat yourself down where you just don't even feel like you know what you're doing anymore. And you got to keep your head up and just know that you know what you're doing. You know you can drive a race car and just give it all you got. I mean, like you said, you only got one shot at it pretty much, and you got to every week just drive your hearts out and run as hard as you can and try to impress somebody. You know, that's the biggest thing you got to do until you get to that point where you don't have to do that anymore, which is then you've made it. You know.
Yes, sir. And then one more thing as far as on my end, but something that I've kept up with is you've had a very familiar name get to drive one of your race cars I think this past week, and that was Kerry Earnhardt getting to come back and be able to get back and have a little test session there. So kind of talk to us about that, how that came to be, and what can we expect with you potentially working with Kerry more.
Yeah, I like Kerry a lot. You know, he and when he was coming up and I had my shop there in Mooresville, we were kind of right there together, and we kind of got to hang out and become friends. And I always liked Kerry a lot, and felt like that he really didn't get the certain opportunities I felt like he could have had. He got opportunities, but it wasn't as good as it he should have got, I feel like. And I think Kerry's a lot better driver than what he was able to showcase. But when I started running the Grand National Series, first thing I thought of was Kerry. I thought, man, because we were needing, a couple more cars and needing some drivers and stuff to come in and help sport or help our series. And so the first person I thought of was Kerry. I know that he can do it, and he's like, I called him up and asked him, or seen him somewhere. And I was like, man, you need to come run with us, whatever. And he's like, nah, I'm pretty much done. I'm not, he was done with racing pretty much. And so every time I see him, I was always bringing it up. And this went on for a couple of years, and then we had an opportunity for our second car. Our drivers wasn't going to be able to make the Dominion race at the beginning of the year. So I thought about Kerry. I was like, hey, man, you need to come check my car out and see if if you want to drive for us, and whatever happens. And we won't make a big deal out of it. I just want to see you get back in the car and a good car that's going to run good and win races, And so he waited a couple of days. I didn't hear from him. I'm like, well, what are you going to do? You got to let me know something. So he decided he was going to do it, and I was really excited about that. And he come out and we got him in the car and set in the car and all this stuff. Well, then it rained us out, so he couldn't. That screwed the whole thing up. It rained us out the first time, so we didn't get a chance to do that. So this second time, we're getting ready to go to Tri-County, and AJ Hendrickson, who's one of the drivers that's in the Grand National Super Series, whatever, and that we race against every week. He called me and said, "Hey, man, I'm not going to be able to make it, so I need who can I maybe get him put in my car." And you think Kerry would do it. So I called Kerry, and he got hold of AJ, and they worked it all out, and that's how it all happened, and it's crazy because we went and tested, and he was excited and run good. He ran real good in the car. And then all of a sudden he called us for rain again. So both times he was going to race, it rained us out, and that screws everything up bad when it happens. So hopefully we'll be able to have another race this year somewhere down the line, and he can get in and run, because I definitely want to see him do that. I think it'd be good for him, and it'd be good for his mental health too, to get back in the car and know that you can get the job done. And it certainly helped me a ton. And every time I run, I feel like I'm still getting better than, or if not better than I am better now than what I've ever been, just by racing like we've been racing. And it just helps with confidence and everything. And I like seeing him do that anyway.
Yeah, I mean that's an awesome story. And you talk about him as a driver, like you where you're at as a driver, talking about getting as better as you've ever been. Do you still have like any bucket list race items? I like to ask a lot of drivers this, if they have any bucket list race items to do like throughout their career. Is there anything that you still want to kind of get done, a race that you've never done?
Yeah, I mean, like I want to continue racing for a little while and doing kind of sort of what I'm doing now. I like what I'm doing now, but I would certainly not turn down any opportunities to do something different, or maybe add a race here and two to have done another series or something. I'm not sure what that is. I'm not well, that's good, phone ringing here. But anyway, I've pretty much had a great career, and I feel like, hold on a second.
You could.
That's why I fix that. And but yeah, I mean, I'd like to, maybe try something different. I'm not sure what that is. I feel real comfortable in these type cars, that I'm in now, and it's like, it reminds me of the old Cup cars we had back then, and I just really like it, But I've got a dirt late model I can go run if I need to, and kind of do that for a little while. And I tried that some, and I just don't have the not just the experience, but it's hard to go out, especially, when all I've done is drive asphalt cars for my whole life pretty much, other than, a few dirt races I ran. But you're not going to beat Jonathan Davenport. I'm not going to be able to beat him jumping in a dirt late model and saying, okay, let's go race. I'm just a better driver than he is, and we're going to beat him. So I realized real quick, those guys, that's all they do is race cars, race dirt cars and dirt late models, just constant 3 nights a week and, or more. And so that's the reason why I just kind of backed off the dirt car stuff. I just felt like that by the time I figure it all out, I'll be retired anyway. So, I just, just kind of give up the dirt stuff for a while. And not saying I won't go back and do a few races here and there, but I wanted to be at the top of it, and to get there, I should have started there a lot younger than I am now. So,
yeah, 1,000%. Anything else from you boys, Steve and Mr. Malaz up there in the top right?
I'm good. I got all my questions out.
How many races are you running, Steve? You run any?
I did 4 truck races this year, and I think I have 2 more coming up at some point in the season.
That's cool.
So yeah, I'm hoping to improve a little bit. I might go to a road course, which would be really exciting because I have a road course background. I did asphalt go-karts. That's what I did growing up. So I would love to get back. I haven't done one since my debut race, and of course, I haven't finished as well since I did my debut.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool.
How many races is technically left on your Xfinity schedule, Mason? Estimatedly,
man, it's ongoing. I would imagine we have anywhere from 10 to 12, something along those lines. I mean, obviously, trying to add as many races as I can. I've been considered for other opportunities as well outside of just the truck and Xfinity stuff. So, always looking at different avenues to get behind the wheel, perfect the racecraft, and also just be able to go have fun every once in a while too, outside of the NASCAR stuff.
Yeah,
nice.
It was a good time. So, Jeremy, we thank you so much for coming on and joining. Appreciate you communicating with me to make this happen. You have been awesome. Great to have you talk with Brennan Poole as well. That was a lot of fun.
It was.
And hopefully sometime we'll circle back and get you on here again and have some more fun.
Anytime, man. I'll be more than happy to. And good luck to you guys.
Thank you,
sir.
Awesome.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much. Have a good one, Jeremy.
Man, you too.
All right. And that was Jeremy Mayfield. Thanks to him so much for coming on and joining us. Thank you so much to Brennan Poole as well. And
what great conversations. You know what I mean? Does it get how do we keep going up? Like where does the peak end? I mean,
it doesn't. That's the best part.
Me and Mason right now. Somebody meet that guy. When you're growing up, right, and you're playing, I'm gonna take my belt off. Hold on.
All right.
All right.
Jeez, wasted no time. My gosh.
That was bothering the hell out of me. And I kept it on for like an hour. So I was at a work event. Okay. I had a 32-minute drive home. I was going to get here at like 7:20. I'm like, damn, I can't miss Brennan Poole and Jeremy Mayfield. I did that drive in 21 minutes. I shaved off 11 minutes, bro. Anyways, besides the point. And I came. Thanks, Seamus. Love you, bro.
Love you.
Love you.
Checkered flag Dan as well. Been in the chat.
CFD.
CFD, baby.
Oh yeah. So I was at Top Golf and I was sweaty and stinky and smelling like dick cheese. So I was like, it's time to get in here. Anyways, I had to take that belt off. So what I was gonna say is, Mayfield is one of those guys that you played games with. We're so back, baby. Maybe my game growing up was NASCAR Thunder 2004, right? That's another thing. That's what it was, right? Mayfield was the driver of the night team car. I think he won a race in 2004, maybe 2.
I think he did. I think it was Richmond. Now that you mentioned that,
won something in 2004, right? Like a really good driver, one of those guys that you have to beat at the front of the pack in that game. And now here he is on our show, right? Brennan Poole to me, and I'm glad he's not hearing me say this. I don't want to inflate his ego too much. Is the epitome of small-time racing drivers who make it, who find a way, who grind it out. He is like truly Maggio, and don't take this the wrong way. This is actually a huge compliment. I think he is what we are aspiring to be, right?
No, 100%.
We're not going to be Brandon Jones, right? We're not going to have that type of security in our careers for the rest of our lives. We will always have to grind, but if we do it right, you could end up having a career like a Brennan Poole, where you have those great stories, those great runs, that great contingent of sponsors. You have the ups and downs. You get to go to Cup. You get to compete in Xfinity and Truck. Like, that is what I think we strive to do. And to talk to him as one of those guys who I've been watching, years now is just, it's great. And I say this for a lot of our guests, but that's because a lot of our guests are really cool people in NASCAR.
Yeah. And I mean, to your point, Steven, too, regarding Brennan and, what a lot of, I think, guys in our position look at out of a guy like Brennan, and I think that's why he's so respected in the garage area, is because he really, like, even after, his deal with Ganassi didn't come into the picture as much as he wanted to, right? As far as the long term. But you look at a guy like Brennan and you look at, like, people forget sometimes that, hey, he's driven for Mike Harmon, G2G, Jimmy Means, all these guys that you wouldn't think that would have, gone that route. But I think my point being is Brennan's a guy that has never turned away an opportunity. If it means it gets him in a race car and he's able to do what he's got to do to prove his worth and get that little extra bit out of the car, whether it's, races like we saw last weekend where he was running top 20 pretty much all day long, or as simple as, what he was doing crazy enough a couple of years ago, just trying to qualify for races in Mike Harmon's car and Jimmy Meads' car. So and I think that's made him a better race car driver, is almost being in some of those tougher situations. And look at where he's at now, and he's proven what he can do, and in much better situations, and he's thriving with it, and he's got a shot to make the playoffs. So, and I think he can win a Daytona, Talladega, or even Atlanta this weekend. You got to put him in the category for that. So that's just proof that hard work and effort and never saying no to an opportunity can really, propel you to where you want to be. And I think Brennan's on that track. And, like you said, with Jeremy Mayfield, it's cool because that was a guy that I watched growing up racing in the 19 Dodge, and even when he owned his own team, with the 41 cars. So it's pretty cool with all these full circle moments. I love what we're doing with the Motor Stardom show. Like, there's never a dull moment where RJ contacts us and he's like, hey, this is what we got. This is what we're trying to do. And on top of that, we got a great partner with Dempsey helping making it possible. And, we got a great group of people too, which makes it so much fun to be a part of. But I got to tell you, it's so much fun doing this and getting to hear people's stories and understanding them as people better and their perspective on the sport that we love.
Well, the last thing I'll add about Brennan and Jeremy, each respectively, and I think Brennan's a little more relatable. Jeremy Mayfield's, obviously with the 41 team, was just an all-time crazy NASCAR story, right? And we won't delve into details here because there's so much uncertainty and it was such an unfortunate situation. With Brennan Poole, if I had that season in the 47 car, or if I had the season that Mayfield had in the 41, I would step away from racing forever. I would have called it a day. And like, these guys continue to persevere, continue to love the sport, continue to keep digging, and continue to be prominent even after some just horrific seasons. And I think about, honestly, right now, and I'm going to give him a shout out because I love this guy. I am the biggest supporter of this guy in the garage, Dawson Crabb, because he's having one of those years right now where kid cannot buy a break. And he's been doing a lot of stuff with the 47 for Harmon, and it's been tough, man. He has been grinding, and every time he looks like he's about to have something great happen, disaster strikes. But those guys are just the backbone, right? They're the guys who keep it going. They keep finding ways to make it work, and I've got a lot of respect for dudes like that. And another thing I'll shout out, like, about Brennan specifically, Brennan in that season where he finished sixth in the points. It was the last year with Ganassi. He only lost to it was 3 JRM cars, right? Because it was Byron, Al Geyer, and I think Elliott Sadler. He lost to Cole Custer, and he lost to Hemrick. And those are all, I forget if Hemrick was with Gibbs or JRM at that time in 17.
Hemrick was with RCR at the time.
RCR. a powerhouse of a team, right?
Yeah.
That is 6th place is probably better than that Ganassi car was in terms of equipment, right? And here is Brennan Poole contending for a championship, contending for race wins. Everywhere he has gone, he has outperformed his equipment. So that is a guy that I hope I get to see take a checkered flag at some point in his NASCAR career.
And he did. But unfortunately, it was not given to him.
Oh,
that moment will rue until
that was one of those things that I didn't even want to bring up because I was like, that is
I had it ready.
No, I mean it's a tough pill to swallow. It really is. I don't care if you're in the best opportunity or the bottom tier, but
this isn't even that finish. But I was going to show this, and I never got to. But this finish really pissed me off as well.
Oh, there was a lot of contenders for that race, man. There was a lot. You had Brennan, you had Joey Gase, you had
here comes Anthony Alfredo with the push. No,
Leland Honeyman. So many guys that had an opportunity to win this race, and it was so cool.
And that smoked Joey Gase too. If the 5 had just stayed in line, they probably don't fan out the way that they do, and Joey probably doesn't get wrecked either. And now we have Joey Gase, Brennan Poole, Anthony Alfredo trying to steal a win from Jesse Love. That is an all-time finish. Instead, we get play it again.
Yeah, and if Alfredo, I mean, if Poole gets that push there, I think he wins.
I agree.
But unfortunately gets side drafted instead and taken, 4 wide in the widest part of the racetrack. So I was going to show that as well, but that part was unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, you guys said it amazingly well. My goal, I've had a lot of goals in the industry, and obviously having a media company was the consensus of that, but having a show is something I've always wanted to have. Started by me and Mason, literally just talk about it in the garage area. And he was like, well, I've tried to start some stuff with people and it never really pans out, and I was like, well, dude, let me tell you, I'm about it. Let's do it. Let's get it going. We're going to get Steven Malazzi in here, and this is going to be our trio. We were already, I don't know what we were doing on that day before that already, but it was already, we were talking to Frankie Muniz. There was already stuff. There was already stuff brewing. We get this show started up. What are you talking about, Steven?
I think it was before this, wasn't it?
No, we talked to this. This was after the truck race that me and Mason decided we were going to do this show. Daytona.
Yep. Yeah, we had a conversation about it.
Oh yeah.
RJ brought up the idea to me. I told him that I would be open to it. He brought up the idea, and he had asked me if I had done anything like that before, and I told him no, and how I was been trying with other people, but like he said, it never panned into anything. And this was the one deal where I was like, all right, I could see this happening. We got an iconic duo. We got RJ, who knows how to set things up and make it look good and put on a big show. We got our energetic Outback guy and Steven Malazzi, who brings the energy, who brings the fun to it. And then there's me that runs 28th in Xfinity every week. So, but no, it's
we know what part of the show is. This part of the show, you get enough glaze at the 8 to 8:15 p.m. hour of the Motor Stardom show.
Whoa! And running 28th every week is better than starting.
Anyways, as I was saying, look, it's been an amazing time running this show. I even just want to go down the list, and quick thanks to everybody. Tommy Joe Martins, who we started with, Carson Ware, Ryan Vargas, Tony Breidinger, Josh Balicki, and Brock Beard, the last car episode. How about that? Christopher Tate, Luke Baldwin. We had Jason Alexander on the show. We did an iRacing event, pre-race show. And we had Ricky Stenhouse Jr., Patrick Staropoli, Thomas Nunziata last week, and getting to talk with Brennan Poole and then Jeremy Mayfield this week is an amazing time. The first time we've had 2 clashing double whammy back-to-back guests, because technically we had Brock Beard, Josh Balicki on the same show, but that was all kind of collected together. But at the end of the day, I want to create something where drivers can come on here, tell their stories for as long as they want, say as much as they want. There's no barriers on here. There's no script. There's no time. I mean, we have a time window, obviously, but if people want to go past that a little bit, go ahead. So the fact that Brennan Poole was able to come on here and tell so many great stories. So we got great stories that from Jeremy Mayfield, which me as a guy, he was telling stories before me and Mason Maggio were even born.
Before I was born.
Probably before Steven was born as well. Yeah.
Nobody here was alive when he won Pocono.
Yeah, that is true. So
That's
to
pretty
be able
crazy.
to hear that, and yes, as a guy that grew up playing NASCAR Thunder 2004, and that's probably where I heard Jeremy Mayfield's name for the first time, is pretty awesome.
Wait a minute. Were you even alive when NASCAR Thunder 2004 came out?
No, me and Mason were born that year, as Mason
We
said.
were.
But that was the first game that I grew up playing all the time, all the way until I got NASCAR 09. Then I started playing NASCAR 09 a little bit. Then I also got 08, 07, 06.
Was 09 the game without the manufacturers in it?
I don't know. I don't know that too much details, but I just know it was the game with Jeff Gordon on the cover. And
Yeah, it didn't have manufacturers in it because
EA Sports, the last EA Sports game.
Yes, because EA Sports lost the licensing agreement for the
They
manufacturer.
did, and then we got Duesenberry Martin Racing or whatever it was called, and now then we got NASCAR Heat, and then we got NASCAR Ignition, but now baby we got NASCAR 25 coming out pretty soon. Got to get me a next gen console, but nonetheless, Motor Stardom stocks are high.
Whoa! Before you skip away from the game, Mason Maggio, are you in the game?
Which game are we talking about? We talked about too many different games. We talking literal games?
Yeah, the game where I kiss you on the lips. No, I'm kidding. The NASCAR game, dude.
Yeah. No, I should be.
You should be. Do you know? Are you in the game? Yes or no? Are we allowed to talk about this? Is this you saying don't talk about it yet?
I should be in the game.
Use code Maggio15.
15.
Yeah.
Until tomorrow. Is that date still active? Is that still the case?
Yeah, till tomorrow.
No, don't run away from this. We don't know yet. You don't know.
I haven't been notified of it. I don't know.
Guess who is in the game?
Woo-hoo.
Okay.
They got an extensive list of drivers in this game, so I'd be shocked if you weren't in it.
Oh man, I'm gonna win the ARCA 200 with Brad Smith, baby, in NASCAR 25. Yeah, baby. Hey, speaking of ARCA, real quick, I wanted to mention this on the show. Shout out to Colby Evans, who I just learned is doing his first ARCA start at at Iowa Speedway. I believe in the 86.
For Alex Club. Yep.
Yeah. So big shout out to him. I know that's been a big journey. Huge coverer of ARCA, of the Start and Park teams. He's listened to a lot of Stephen Malazzi radio this year. That's for sure. I
can't wait to win the ARCA championship with Alex Club. And by the way, I actually love Alex Club. He's a good guy. But I'm just saying winning a championship with him is going to go so hard. I can't wait to go and play and win an ARCA championship with Alex Club, win a truck championship with Stephen Malazzi, win an Xfinity championship with Joey Gase Racing and Mason Maggio, and last but not least, win a cup championship with
Cody Ware.
with me.
I'm going to make a fake RJ character here.
No, we'll do it with the with Burt Myers. That's the one that we got.
We'll do it with Jeremy Mayfield.
Jeremy Mayfield. Hell yeah. Rewriting history. He comes back and wins the championship. So one more little, I guess, mini announcement before we go as well. Obviously, I've worked very hard to get this brand kind of to where it is now. Shout out to SMI Credentials, because as of this weekend for the Atlanta Motor Speedway race, Motor Stardom is officially credentialed media outlet for an event, which as a lot of people in the media industry know, that is really hard to do. There's a lot of boundaries, barricades with a certain area. But SMI has granted Motor Stardom to be a credentialed outlet, which is awesome. Obviously, SMI has been very nice to me in the past as well. I've done stuff with TobyChristie.com. Big shout out to Toby Christie, and as well as Racing America, ESPN Radio. But to have Motor Stardom as a credentialed outlet for Atlanta, I will not be there. I wish I was, but Chris Golland, the writer for MotorStardom.com, will be there. Now, credentials wasn't accepted for Chicago, but that's okay. We're going to figure some stuff out, and hopefully by the end of the year, NASCAR itself can show some love to Motor Stardom, because I sure do love NASCAR. So I'm waiting for them to love me back. But I love NASCAR. It's pretty cool. I've spent my entire life watching it. Every week of my life, every race week of my life for the last 6-7 years.
You wait by 2048. we're gonna be the top 3 in NASCAR. We're gonna run NASCAR.
Hell yeah. I'm going to be doing the front
We are,
stretch with you.
yeah,
for this
we're
match.
gonna be doing the prime pre and post race broadcasting. We're getting rid of Corey LaJoie. We're getting rid of Carl Edwards and Dale Jr.
I
It's
will
gonna
never
be
do
the OG Motor Stardom group talking
Hell
about
yeah.
racing.
Well,
Boom.
guys,
$1 million idea.
Seeing Carl Edwards on my TV just gives me a hard one. I mean, it's crazy. I freaking am so happy he's back in NASCAR. It is like he's like the one. There's no sadder story to me in all of motorsports than Carl Edwards. Like now that I'm an adult and I get it, like, and I understand really why he left and like everything and like how strict he has been with staying away from the sport for an entire decade. Seeing him back, giving coverage with such passion and enthusiasm, being so well spoken, makes me realize and remember why he was so beloved when he was in the sport. It makes me realize how glad I am to have him back.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I gotta give a shout out to Corey LaJoie. He's actually done a pretty solid job,
Yes.
with not having that kind of background either. He's done a phenomenal job of sharing that same enthusiasm as Carl. Obviously, Dale's been doing TV for a long time now, so we kind of figured that, but kind of the 2 rookies of that class were Carl Edwards and Corey LaJoie. We didn't really know, were they going to adapt well? Was it going to take them, a couple races to kind of get the gist of it, which I'm sure they were. But at the same time, they from Charlotte, they had that enthusiasm of we love what we're doing and we want to share that exact same enthusiasm with the viewers at home. And I absolutely love that. And it was a duo I didn't expect to love so much or just expect, period, Carl Edwards and Corey LaJoie. But it's one that I love now. And I think they've built a friendship around it, and that's made it even cooler to watch. So I'll never forget that clip of them watching the battle for the lead together. I think it was posted on social media on Prime NASCAR on Prime's.
For Charlotte?
Yeah,
Charlotte.
They were like getting pumped up, and they're like, "Yo, look at this, look at that," and it's like I love seeing genuine enthusiasm out of 2 guys that, granted, have. Carl's done it. Corey's continuing to do it on a part-time basis, but to see that enthusiasm and to be able to share that and provide that same enthusiasm with the viewers at home, I love it. Absolutely love it.
They are just racers, man. They love to race.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I think it's just the environment that you can create as well. The environment that Prime's created. If you look over there, the NFL coverage, they have Ryan Fitzpatrick, Andrew Whitworth, Richard Sherman, Tony Gonzalez on their panel. I'm sure all which have never really been friends throughout their careers, all very polarizing NFL players, but they just mesh so well on the broadcast just because of how it's presented. The host is great as well. And so I think Daniel Trotta does an amazing job at bringing things together. And all of a sudden you got a crew here who, never really worked together. Carl Edwards, friggin' Corey LaJoie, probably just met each other, probably working to get this whole thing started. Just like we got to see Jeremy Mayfield and Brennan Poole chop it up here on live and getting Brennan out of here. I'm like, Jeremy, you ever met Brennan, talked to him? No. First time. But you would have thought that they were homies. And that's just the love and respect that the Motor Stardom show likes to present. I just got a notification here on my phone. Steven, make sure to check out Stephen Malazzi's article on the Inquirer.
Philadelphia Inquirer.
PhiladelphiaInquirer.com. Temple Law student Stephen Malazzi interns at a law firm during the week and drives NASCAR trucks.
I was sending that for after the show, the post-race show, to talk about that. But
it reminded me to plug you.
Thank you for plugging
the show. Anyways, so the last thing here, we're gonna break our record here for longest Motor Stardom show since the first guest with Tommy Joe Martins. We're gonna play. I got some sounds in here. We're gonna play the says cinematic on it. Let's see what this sounds like. Oh, baby! It's time for the bracket challenge, the NASCAR in-season bracket challenge. It's now I'm gonna turn this off because it sucks. Never heard that before,
awful.
But
That was
terrible. Yeah, I gotta
Never
put some.
do that. Seriously, never do that again.
It's okay, this AI generator. All right, shout out Restream. But bracket challenge, guys. It's Atlanta. I don't know what's gonna happen, but are we excited?
Yeah. So here's the deal. This is on the fly. Ready for this? The loser of the bracket challenge, you will see a post on Motor Stardom at some point before Atlanta. We will all pick a bracket, okay? Submit your brackets to RJ. We're going to make a bracket pool. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get it going. We're going to plug this. Whoever loses the bracket has to buy a piece of merch from whoever the winner of our bracket challenge selects. That's my deal. We're plugging the Motor Stardom show. Tune in, watch it. We're going to pick our brackets. We'll post it at sometime this week. This is on the fly. And now that I've said it live, we have to do it. So we've got to do it.
It's official.
It is official.
It's a great idea. So basically, all of you watching, anybody who sees this clip, and when we plug it, because we're going to plug it too, there's going to be a plugged clip. Submit your brackets. We're going to submit them. We're going to look at them. We're going to smell them. We're going to score them. We're going to do great things with them. And whoever wins the fan bracket the best way, they will get a piece of merch from the loser out of us three.
All right. Well, that sounds like a good time to me. It's going to be fun to watch this bracket challenge unfold, and I like that idea. Let's get everybody involved here. And,
whoa, go back to that. Go back to that real quick.
This is going to put a lot more pressure on me to get merch out there, more than I thought that I already have. So thanks for that, fellas.
Hey, at least you still got that big
all right.
Song, Maggio. I messed that up. Real quick, something that frustrates me about this, and I understand why they did it. Who is missing from this list?
Shane Van Gisbergen.
Now, we are eliminating Shane Van Gisbergen. Why?
He wasn't top 32 in points.
But yet
he wasn't top 32 before the cutoff for the seeding.
But yet we're giving him a spot in the playoffs?
Yeah.
That's just the system we got, ladies and gentlemen.
What we're doing, pal.
And look, we have to live by this system. It is the system. There's
only I'm going to die by the system, man.
I'm going to die from the system, brother. There's only so many things so many times you can complain about a system over and over again. But I feel like this is a pretty stark opportunity to do that. And, I don't know. It just is what it is. And I'm at a point where I am fairly over the winning in stuff. Like, I think I would be so much happier with the chase. I really do. A chase is the same thing, 10 race sample size, great stories. I mean, look at the car. I don't understand how one of the last playoff battles we got with a chase was Carl Edwards, Tony Stewart, and they friggin' tied. And NASCAR was like, we need to change this big time. And you know what I mean? Like, what are we doing? Like, what are we?
Baffling, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. We haven't really talked a whole lot. I wasn't here last week, and we didn't, as far as I know, because I missed the first 5 minutes here, we didn't talk about the Cup race last weekend, did we? Did we talk about Pocono?
We never got a chance to talk about Pocono, and we only got to talk so much about Mexico, but nothing leading up into Pocono.
So I'm going to take 30 seconds. Mexico, great experience. Road course stage cautions need to go. It's that simple. They should not exist. We should not spend that much time under cautions.
No.
We don't need them. Next gen road course racing still kind of sucks. Got to figure that out. Shane Van Gisbergen is the best road course racer in NASCAR by a mile. Carson Osavar, Ricky Stenhouse, we did not solve the feud. We didn't do it. And then Pocono. Love Pocono. Love the atmosphere. Love the track. Think it can create great racing, as we saw in some of the other series. Man, the Cup car ruined that. There's no reason that what we saw should have happened. You should not be able to save a mile per gallon more than everybody else and still be able to hold off 4 hard chargers and 4 of the best cars in the field. The same way that there's no way that our good friend RSJ should have been the third. It was basically the 32nd or 33rd fastest car on the racetrack all day long. And can stay out and hold on to second pretty much for the entire stage until he had a bad restart and lost it, right? He was literally at second at the time of the caution with 10 to go before the end of stage 2 and probably would have finished second in the stage if it weren't for that caution. So a lot of problems, a lot of things to fix. I don't want to complain anymore because this was a great show, but I also feel the need to talk about Cup Series racing. And shout out Connor Zilich, good kid, watched him growing up. First win on an oval, except it's not because you got to win on a goddamn triangle. Dale Jr. winning as a crew chief, 9th person all time to win, the crew chief driver and owner. Any other NASCAR news we are missing big time?
Not necessarily. We got a lot of great things coming up this weekend. We got our good buddy Thomas Annunziata. The announcement he was talking about was that he is signing with Spire Motorsports, running the truck race at Lime Rock. So that's going to be exciting. And his teammate is none other than Jordan Taylor in the number 7 truck. So getting to watch as Mason Maggio dies, getting to watch the now he's back. Getting to watch the Truck Series and the ARCA Series race at Lime Rock this weekend will be fun. Really excited to see how Fox presents that to us. Not really, anyways. Other than that, that is really the main headlines right now. We got the bracket challenge. We got Lime Rock, and I'm very excited to watch both of those unfold. I'm really excited for Atlanta this weekend. Friday night racing, Saturday night racing, giving you that real summer feel. And Atlanta, when the Cup Series drivers raced under the lights there 2 years ago for a summer race that got cut short to rain. That was one of my favorite, funnest races to watch before that race got cut short and given to William Byron in 2023. They moved it back to the day last year. I was like, why the hell did you do that? Now we're back in the nighttime this year. Hopefully weather complies with us, and I think it's going to be a fantastic show under the lights. The track is changing every time we go there. Every time the weather changes, it's that hybrid super speedway, which I don't think we need to change every track to, but I love where Atlanta's at right now. Obviously, we love the old Atlanta, but this little hybrid super speedway we're handling really does matter a lot, but they're still grouped up. It's been a lot of fun to watch. So I'm really excited for this weekend and to see what goes on. Connor Zilich is in the Cup field this weekend as well.
Full Cup field, by the way, which is something that we haven't seen since the 500. So we got to give a shout out there. That's obviously a huge deal for the Cup Series, since we haven't seen anything like that since Daytona earlier this year for the 500. So that's a big deal. But
over 25, over under 26 and a half cars finishing Atlanta in Cup.
I could.
I'm gonna take the under. I think we're gonna see some destruction this weekend.
I think so too. I think with a couple guys, bet. And I think we're slowly but surely going to be closing in on the playoffs, and that's also an opportunity race for a lot of smaller teams as well to try to get some really good finishes. So I think aggression is going to show for both Xfinity and Cup. So I would not be surprised if we saw a little bit more carnage compared to what we're used to in the spring.
I mean, we've seen a lot of stability. Like, I'll be honest, a lot of the speedway racing has been fairly tame for the most part, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I will say this, though. I think that the loads at Atlanta could lead to a tire failure. And if that happens in the middle of the pack at the wrong time, a lot of people are going to crash. We'll just have to see what happens this weekend at Atlanta.
Because that's exactly what I want to hear.
Mason Maggio, I want you to know that every time you get in a race car, I want you to do the most chaotic thing on the face of the planet. Like, that's what I root for. Like, in the most loving way possible. Like, you know how when I get in a race car, you hope that I take out Kyle Busch while he's leading a truck race?
No, I've never said that.
That's probably just my thought.
Yeah, that's your intrusive thought speaking, buddy. All right.
Well, I'm not going to make a name for myself by finishing 31st, but I could make a name for myself. Anyways, I think are good. I think we've covered everything, right?
Yeah. I think we got a lot of stuff to be excited about. Obviously, great show today. And then on top of that, we got 2 exciting racetracks to look forward to with Lime Rock. First time the Truck Series has gone there. That's going to be super exciting. I'm excited to watch from inside the hauler as I run Atlanta this weekend in the Xfinity car. And then obviously, again, with Atlanta, it's going to be interesting. I think it's going to be a little bit more chaotic, but that's what we're here for, right? We've grown to love this Atlanta because of expecting the unexpected. So, but no, I think we've had a lot of good stuff to come, and I'm excited to be able to recap hopefully 3 great races after this weekend.
Yeah,
now,
and
RJ,
yes, sir.
Is it true that you were with the Shawties on a Monday night?
With the Shawties on a Monday night? Oh, last night?
Is that what happened?
Nah.
buddy, you can't be trying now that we're live on the Motor Stardom show.
You lying.
No, I was watching. I was watching WWE Monday Night Raw like I do every Monday night.
Oh, you were Monday Night Raw and something, bro.
No.
And on that note,
That I can
baby,
decline. Okay, all right. Well, wait. Okay.
the Motor Stardom show. He's
Let me preview
RJ.
next week's guest. Let me
Oh.
preview next week's guest real quick. We're going to be talking super speedways. We're going to have the super speedway mastermind goat, Caesar Beccarella, next week joining us, baby.
There
He
you go.
reached out to me today. I know for
Yeah,
sure. We have a
well-
lot of guests in the works. Look, one thing I will say about the Motor Stardom show, you never know who's going to come on the next week. Jeremy Mayfield's I've been working on that all week. Finally solidified it last night into today afternoon. Announced it to everybody today. I was like, whoa, what's going on? Jeremy Mayfield on the Motor Stardom show. Hell yeah. We also co-stream for the first time on TikTok today, seeing how that goes. I guess we were liked 700 plus times. So
Sweet.
that's cool. Shout out TikTok. Their algorithm's interesting. So we're going to work that and have some fun. But yeah, next week for sure, we will have Caesar Beccarella on the show. Taylor Gray is still scheduled to come on here with us soon. And like I said, you never know who is going to be on the Motor Stardom show week to week.
Dale Jr. on here. Let's do it.
It's about damn time. And I think we can make it happen. I already contacted Jeremy Mayfield. We're talking about Earnhardt, Dale Jr.
I thought that's what you were saying when you were talking about the super speedway expert ace guy.
No, dude, Caesar Beccarella.
I mean, we already had a known super speedway ace expert guy on the show in Stenhouse. I mean, he's universally considered one of the best plate racers in Cup. So
This is true.
And known to throw a few punches, but not in Mexico.
Yeah, swag punch, bro. You know.
With his
All right.
short line. All right, sign us off here. Cue the music. Let's get groovy.
hi, I'm NASCAR crash instructor and lawsuit. That's RJ. He runs an Instagram account. He's got 39,000 followers. He does pretty well for himself. And he's handsome. That's Mason. He races in the Xfinity Series. He loves Densey energy pouches. This guy's a great guy. We run a podcast every Tuesday, the Motor Stardom Show, 7 p.m. This episode was Jeremy Mayfield and Brennan Poole. Next week, we've got Caesar Beccarella. So be sure to tune in then. Till next time, adios.
And for the last time before he maybe joins us next week, shout out Amir Alexander.